I remember the last time I streamed this, I did take a moment to explain the differences between the various AI cores. They are quite big. A beta core is a simple thing, rather a gamma core. I should have said not beta core. A gamma level AI core is capable of supporting most human endeavors, making up for a lack of creativity and problem-solving ability with prodigious computational prowess. Assigning a gamma to aid human overseas in administrating a colony-wide industry brings significant benefits. Selling AI cores on the open market is prohibited by most factions. However, higher-up faction representatives can often be willing to exchange AI cores for large sums of cash when communicated with directly, though their reasons for doing so may vary. Base sale value is 10,000 units. So rare and valuable independent AI core. A gamma level is the lowest tier core considered to be truly intelligent under domain-era AI protocols. A gamma core will employ remarkable judgment and reasoning when assigned to straightforward tasks, when using its savant-like data processing abilities to far exceed any individual human's ability. It is relatively uncreative in problem-solving, however, preferring to fall back upon direct, unsophisticated means. You can get significantly more crazy descriptions for the higher level AIs. It's actually quite cool, the description for the alpha cores. Warning, you're taking more salvage than your fleet has capacity to carry. This will result in greatly increased daily supply consumption and a reduced travel speed. It is recommended that you either take less salvage or head to a nearby station to sell off excess. Well, easy way to do this is to... Oh, it's actually fuel that we've got too much of. If you just hold down control and click on the offending thing, it'll just dump enough to bring you back to your actual capacity. If it was supplies, I would have kept the supplies. Oh, that'll be the fuel there. Can we do any further salvage here? We can. Fleet assumes stable orbit. Likely something of value. Let's have a look. 93% chance. Yeah, okay, we'll check this out. An accident during the operation has resulted in the loss of 4 heavy machinery. It's okay. It's okay. We didn't lose any crew. Nice. I don't care about the fuel right now, but everything else I'll take. Once again, we'll dump what we can't handle there. Confirm and continue. The cargo pods are in an unstable orbit. That's fine. There are now 2 cargo pods here. One of them contains quite a lot of fuel. There's actually still some stuff that I could have a look at if I wanted to, but it's a shame that we're going to have to dump that fuel because that's actually quite a large amount of fuel. Examine the pod contents. This is the big one. Confirm and continue. I want to pop these into a stable orbit. Stabilization will put the pods into a predictable orbit for an additional 400 days. Adding or removing any cargo afterwards will destabilize the orbit. It'll cost me 2 supplies to do this. Currently the supplies are like 300, but that's 20 fuel. I wouldn't do this for the 4 fuel, but I'll do it for the 20 odd. Sure. I lost 2 supplies. Your crew busy themselves attaching micro thrusters and carefully sealing, balancing, and interconnecting the pods to make sure that they remain in a stable orbit. They've got 405 days left until the orbit degrades and they just vanish. I'm not willing to overload my cargo capacity at the moment because supplies are somewhat of a big concern. Right, let's head back to Ankira. And we're going to burn for this, turn it back on our transponder as well. But the fuel, I actually care about. That's a lot of fuel. I'm willing to... Oh, damn it, I didn't slow down fast enough. So that will have damaged us a little bit. Don't stop until C. What a name. My greed always gets me in trouble when I scavenge in this game. Yeah, you can absolutely end up overloading yourself. Basically, if you're over capacity, you will use more fuel if you're traveling... sorry, actually, you don't... Well, I think you might use more fuel if you're traveling in hyperspace. That's the only place you use fuel. But you will use more supplies because you're operating over capacity. Like, there's literally no more space to put this stuff on your ship, but somehow you've managed to do it. Have you done that by tethering cargo pods in a massive web-like chain? So you use like chains in a web-like configuration to attach the cargo pods to the outside of a ship? Either way, you're using supplies to keep them from just getting pulled off as you move through space. one way or another, you've managed to stuff more stuff onto your ship than your ship can carry. And you've had to use extra supplies for doing that. And I would rather not be burning extra supplies per day than just a tiny amount of extra supplies to just put this into a stable orbit and then come back for it later. Alright. Open the comm directory. Hello. Solid work. I'll get my technicians working on this right away. In the meantime, this should cover your expenses, hopefully with a good amount left over. There we are. We lost the gamma core. I got 8,000, which actually isn't too bad considering it was worth 10,000. I'll send you the stabilization algorithm when the core works it up. Once you have it, it should be a simple matter of running it using your fleet's drive field as a means of interacting with the jump point. However, it's still a matter of the miners guarding both jump points out of the system. And you said their forces are significant? Well, it's all relative. Our security detachment could handle them easily, but as I've mentioned, it's tied down defending Ankira. Your fleet, on the other hand, well, you might be able to handle them with some stellar piloting and a bit of luck, but it's best not to take such chances, especially not when there's an alternative. What's the alternative? There's a ship graveyard around Tetra, ships that were deemed not worth the effort to restore, awaiting bulk transit to one of the ship-breaking facilities elsewhere. Now, though, they'll serve our needs. Go there and recover all the ships you can, and break the ones you can't for supplies. Make sure to bring enough crew to operate the recovered ships, though. Perhaps an extra 100 or so will do. You'll need to transport them somehow, too. Here, take this mud skipper transport. Consider it part of your reward. Thank you. I'll return with the ships. Right, okay. So, our fleet currently now has a new mud skipper. Right then and there. There's no demods, which is good. In terms of our cargo, our storage... Oh, we don't have that. Never mind. Do I not... Oh, I'm going to need to grab the crew. Okay. Okay, so I could do this in one of two ways. I could get the crew from the open market and pay 30% extra, or I could get the crew from the black market and not pay 30% extra. I think we're going to be doing that. The thing with the crew is they're not an illegal commodity, so even if we get searched later on, they're not going to have anything to go by. This will still cost us 3k though. And then I want an extra one. Not all of them. No. I want an extra 20 and an extra 4. There you go. Full complement. Tunk. There's no suspicion. Good. Very good, actually. I'm going to... You know what? I'll sell these on the open market. I don't mind. I don't mind losing 30% on that. There we are. Is there anything else here that I would like to get? Not really. Nothing here either. Alright. If we go to out of here, we can see that we can repair our ships. It'll cost 2 supplies. Done, done, and done. Oh, that was very kind of you, Sheelap. Aavak, since I see the stream is tagged backseating allowed, your faction aggression set in the doctrine page affects ships in your fleet without officers, even before you have a faction of your own. So if you already knew this... Oh, actually, you know what? I did know it, but I completely forgot. It's been a while. It's been a while. And no worries. No reason to apologize. Sheelab is very generous and covered your backseat pass there. The backseat pass system, it's just there to make sure that the people backseat the important things, but not the trivial things. You know, I do appreciate backseating to a degree. It can get a little bit excessive, so having backseat passes, just make sure it's toned down. Yuka Finn, thank you so much for the 42 months, mate. Reminder, Caliban Cult Station. Thank you very much for that. That's actually a brilliant place to put the backseat pass. Right. We've got everything I think I need here. But let's have a look at the refit screen. Our little mud skipper has a single thing, a light dual machine gun. And it's already been basically fitted out. There's really nothing to add in there, frankly. The salamander missile we had there, though. I might pop something else on this. That being said, I do like the salamanders. It's tactically useful to be able to shut down an enemy's engines because they can't maneuver as you move around them to get better firing angles on them where they're unshielded. But also, this is one of the only missiles that has an onboard manufacturing system, so you never run out of these. They just take time to recharge. Almost everything else you have to do elsewhere. Never mind. I have changed the weapon groups, so on and so forth, so that'll be a little bit different in there, but it really doesn't matter. Missiles are rarely auto-fire weapons, but it doesn't really matter unless I'm flying it myself. Are these not considered combat? It's a civilian-grade hull. Do I need to add militarized subsystems? Removes the penalties from a civilian-grade hull and increases maximum burn level by 1. Increasing flux dissipation by 10%. Increases maximum crew required. Which skill did I take for my character? All combat ships, including carriers and militarized civilian ships. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to want to do to make the best out of that is I need to make you a militarized ship. So, is there a way to undo something yet? So I've got reinforced bulkheads right now, which just means that the hull's integrity is 40% better. And if disabled, the ship will not break apart and is almost always recoverable. But if I do this and give it a militarized subsystem, it's going to increase the requirements in some ways. So it removes any of the penalties that a civilian-grade hull has and increases the maximum burn level. So the fleet is going to be able to move faster because this is this ship isn't holding it back. Increases the flux dissipation by 10% and adds 10 armor for the damage reduction calculation only. The armor doesn't actually exist, it's just there for the calculation. But it does increase the crew required by 100%. How many crew were required typically for this ship? Is there a question mark anywhere in here that I could bring up? I don't know if there was. Enjoy making your pancakes, mate. Oh, there we are. So the crew maximum crew is 30. Skeleton crew required was 30 plus 15%. So it was 15, so now it's 30. So we're digging into that a little bit. This, like, if we have a look at the civilian grade hull, increases sensor profile by 100%, reduces sensor strength by 50%. So having the militarized subsystem means that we'll be less visible and our sensors will work a little bit better. I could do the same here, but I'd have to sacrifice things in order to do it. Right now, increases the durability of the ship's engine by 100%, and the ship's hull integrity by 100%. The ship's sensor profile is also reduced by 50%. I mean, that's actually kind of nice. You can make a stealthy ship with that. But if I wanted to really push this, I could drop that down by a couple of points. Realistically, we should not be getting into combat with this ship. Now, normally, what I would do here is instead give it something like unstable injector. So if I did end up with the mud skipper in a fight, it could flee fast. But if we add in militarized subsystems, then it just takes away our sensor profile issue. But in exchange, it is going to cost more crew to man. So it's up by an extra 5 crew. Ooh, the skill system looks very different. Yeah, that's why we're playing it from the beginning again, Hickson. There's been a huge update to that. Huge update. Psst, Aavak, do try out the Sabo SRM. They're quite enjoyable. Do I have a Sabo SRM? I do not. We do have one down here, though. Fires a second stage spread of high velocity kinetic penetrators when in range. Heavy damage to shield and massive EMP damage when impacting on enemy hull or armor. Difficult to stop with point defense. You own a total of 0 of this weapon, so I would have to buy it to install it. But primary role, anti-shield. Mount type is small. I could pop one on there if you wanted. In exchange for the Salamander. I mean, this is anti-engine. It's got a ridiculous range comparatively. Homes in on the target's engines and disables them with a powerful EMP burst. A combat-rated auto-loader system ensures usefulness in protracted engagements. It's the whole thing of it reloading all the time. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in there, though. We'll buy the Sabo SRM. Now, this has only got 2 shots, but submunition hits on hull or armor have a 25% chance to arc to other weapons and engines, dealing 200 EMP damage. Its range is about half, but it does a crazy amount of damage. Yeah, the Salamander has basically got a 3D missile printer. But we'll just play with it anyway. Pop it in. I see no reason not to. I don't believe I've got anything. Oh, actually. Small hybrid turret. What is that? Oh, that means it's energy or ballistic. Alright, well, undo that. I don't care to change that one. You've got a couple more points now as a result, so I could... we've got more than enough flux dissipation there, so I'm just going to give you a vent first. Sorry, capacitor first, and then fill up the rest with vents. There we are. Done and done. We will be naming the ships, but only once I get the fleet that we're about to go out and collect. Oop. I did not mean to click on that. It's fine. Basically, if you want to consider your military options, it's like, yeah, what could I possibly do against this station? We don't want to do anything, because they would raffle stomp us. There we are. 4 supplies to finish repairing the ship. With that, let's just double check. We're carrying as many crew as we can. We require 65 skeleton crew for all of our ships to be functional. We've got plenty of room for supplies. I would like some more heavy machinery if we could get some. Doesn't look like we can, though. It's a shame. Oh well. I can sell these if I really want to get a little bit of extra cash. None of them really stand out as worth it. Like mortars, salamander. We'll keep all of them, I think. Especially since we're about to grab a couple of extra ships. Right. Let's move on out. If we bring this up, we need to be out by Tetra, so let's go. I think Griffin Light Missile Cruiser has an active ability to reprint missiles with limited ammo. Yes, you can, but I think it's got... It requires a charge, much like other ship abilities. So it's not always going to be... I think it has like a limited amount of times that you can use it. Fleet approaches Tetra. You have full survey data for this planet. Don't actually need to. I was just using it as a place to get to there. Sense ping just to see if there's anything else there. And there is not. Okay, so... We gained a bunch of EXP just for coming down here. Unhook my camera. Okay, so we've got a Condor class light carrier, a Dram class tanker, a Buffalo Mark II class destroyer, a Kite class shuttle, a Wolf class frigate, Kite class shuttle, a Hammerhead class destroyer, a Taurus class freighter, and a Lasher class frigate. Okay, so I would like the tanker and the freighter purely so that we've got some decent cargo and fuel capacity here. Yeah, we just started. Well, I mean, we've taken a long while going through the tutorial. I've basically been just, playing through the tutorial and explaining things for new players. We're getting to the point now where there's not a lot to explain with the tutorial-y stuff and game systems, so we're able to make much more speedier progress. So, Shadow, thank you very much for 46 months. And Tommy Keys for 52. Diolch yn fawr iawn to both of you. Oh, yes, we can press shift to speed things up. Though, before I forget, let's go to Intel and let's go to Factions. Oh, that's not going to be my command, rather. And Doctrine and Blueprints. Aggression. Personality type of ship captains affects officers for the fleet created by your faction, as well as ships without officers, including the ones in your fleet. Does not affect officers you've hired. Possible personality types. Oops. That's the alarm for Ciri's meds, but Ciri's already had her meds. Timid. In combat, this officer will attempt to avoid direct engagements if at all possible, even if commanding a combat vessel. No doctrine setting advocates the employment of timid officers, but they may occasionally be found for hire. So that's cautious, steady, aggressive, a mix of aggressive and reckless, Cautious officers, or rather cautious doctrine. In combat, this officer will prefer to stay out of enemy range, only occasionally moving in if outranged by the enemy. Steady. In combat, this officer will favour a balanced approach with tactics matching the current situation. Aggressive. In combat, the officer will prefer to engage at a range that allows the use of all of their ship's weapons, will pilot civilian ships as if they were combat ships, and will employ only any fighters under their command aggressively. Reckless, in combat this officer is aggressive to a fault, often disregarding safety of their ship entirely in an effort to engage the enemy. For me, reckless is off the table for now. Steady seems a good one, but aggressive seems like it might be an okay one as well. But this might be one for us to pick when my fleet isn't forced to comprise civilian ships that just have militarized systems. So, are there flamethrower type weapons that use fuel as ammo? No, but there are flamethrower type weapons in the base game, but we're now talking ultra endgame content. Yes, Sulfol. There's one in vanilla since 0.95 that you get from extremely redacted. Yes, more redacted than normal redacted. Basically the redacted. But the redacted do have flamethrower type weapons, yes. Don't believe they use fuel though. But I think balanced approach with tactics matching the current situation. In combat, the officer will prefer to engage at a range that allows the use of all of their ship's weapons, and will pilot civilian ships as if they were combat ships. I'm going to leave this one on steady until we've got a better group. But then we will be switching over to aggressive, I think. Alright, so I would not mind a Wolf-class frigate. Your fleet approaches a derelict Wolf-class frigate drifting through space. It is battered, though determining whether it's recoverable or not will require closer examination. Salvage crews boarding the wreck discover that many essential systems are undamaged, and the ship could be restored to basic functionality. If not recovered, the ship will be scuttled, and any fitted weapons and fighter LPCs will be retrieved. Consider the recovery. It's got 3D mods. Glitched sensor array, not great. Compromised hull, also kind of bad. And degraded shields, also kind of bad, actually. But okay, deployment recovery costs and supplies. It's actually a little cheaper to recover it because it's broken. So in terms of getting it, recovering it from deployment, it's actually cheaper because it's damaged. But we're going to go with it. I will recover it. There we go. Some of the ships in your fleet are at dangerously low combat readiness, below 20%. Deploying these ships in combat is likely to cause critical malfunctions, dealing damage, destabilizing some weapons and engines for the duration of the battle, and causing further critical malfunctions during deployment. It's recommended that you let these ships recover before using them in combat. Ships regain combat readiness over time, and friendly stations offer a quick way to do so and effect repairs, as well as hire an additional crew if needed. You can check the combat readiness levels, blah blah blah. That's fine. So that one's got. I'm going to say we don't care about the Kite class shuttles, so I'm going to explore those. Wow, this one would need me to use special measures to get it back anyway. But we've got enough crew, enough machinery, we've got fleet-wide salvaging ability and salvaging skill as well. So we've got 160% resource recovery rate here, so we're just going to go for the salvage. And yeah, the Kite class, we'll get rid of that one as well. Explore this one. We're not going to recover it, we're going to salvage it instead. Yoink, we've got another Salamander MRM and a Harpoon MRM. Medium range, high payload guided missile rack. Devastating against ships with downed shields. And that's where we talk about what I was saying earlier about trying to take ships' shields offline by overloading them. Some of the ships in your fleet are low combat readiness, below 40%. Their weapon systems and engines are likely to suffer malfunctions and become temporarily disabled during sustained use. Now that's the difference. So at below 40%, weapons and engines might just suffer glitches and go offline, but below 20%, no, they can straight up be shut down for the entire fight. That is a big deal. Imagine getting into a fight and you're like, I need every ship I've got. Bring in the one that's at 18% combat readiness, and the first thing that happens is, yeah, the engines don't work. Okay, how long is it going to take to repair it? Until we're out of the fight. Balls. This was a terrible mistake. Pretty much. Right, dismiss. Okay, now I'm going to grab the ships that I really would like. I do like the idea of the Hammerhead Destroyer. The Buffalo, I'm not as sure of, but we're gonna. What's my fleet like? We've got some decent supplies. I think I'm gonna have to decide which one I'm absolutely not bringing, and that's gonna be the Buffalo. I think Buffalo cuts to Mark II Destroyer. The derelict Buffalo Mark II class destroyer drifting through space. Let's have a look. I'm gonna need to use a story point to get this one. I'm going to say no. I love watching people play games like this because I know I wouldn't have the mind power myself. Oh, I'm sure that's not true. But I totally get where you're coming from. Sometimes it is just nice to watch someone else play the game and have to do all of the sort of the mental heavy lifting. Sometimes you're just not in the mood to be the one in the driver's seat, you know. But I'm sure you could if you wanted to. This game has a lot of depth, but it is not unmanageable. Also, tip: if you mothball a ship immediately after recovering it, you cannot spend any supplies or crew on it there and then. Just repair it when you get back to the base. That's actually a good point. I should probably do that with the larger ships because they are going to take a lot of crew to run. Which is why I like watching streams and playthroughs. I don't want to play them all myself, though I want to experience them. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to salvage this one, get back as much gubbins as we can. Only 7 supplies. Right. Well, you're a goner. Right, let's go grab the Condor class light carrier. Hello to you. This ship is not easily recoverable, but it would be very useful in the upcoming fight against the minor forces guarding the jump point. You can use a story point to make a ship recoverable. Do this now by selecting the appropriate option after exploring the derelict. Well, that would have been good information before. The derelict Condor class light carrier drifting through space. Explore. You receive a preliminary assessment of potential salvage operations from the exploration crews. Consider whether a special measure might be taken to recover the ship. Sometime later, you hear back from your chief engineer, who mumbles about being a miracle worker to someone off screen before noticing that you've picked up the call. Commander, looks like we might be able to pull this off, though I'll say you're not going to find what I'm going to do in any manual, and it wouldn't pass any inspection, but then again, we're not a hegemony fleet. It'll fly, though. Take a look at the chief engineer's report and make a decision. What D-mods have we got? Erratic fuel injector, not great, but not terrible for a fight. Increased maintenance is actually kind of a pain in the backside. Compromised hull, also a pain in the backside. But other than compromised hull, combat pretty good in terms of combat. Now that's going to consume all of the crew that we have for it, and in fact will leave us with not enough crew to fly all of our ships. But we are going to take it. It'll take an enormous amount of supplies to recover it. Now, using a story point in this way, quick bit of info on this bonus experience. Bonus experience doubles your experience gain until it's used up. 100% bonus experience means enough to earn an extra story point, eventually compensating for the use of one story point entirely. Some of the bonus experience is granted immediately, while the remainder is gained on reaching the maximum level. The amount of bonus experience depends on the deployment recovery cost of the ship. Less expensive ships grant more bonus experience. Recovering ships that were already in your fleet always grants full bonus experience. So the thing with the story points is there are some points where using that story point is not using anything up. You will gain twice as much experience until you get another story point. It's just that with this one, we're using this to pull off something really good for us. So we're only going to get 67% bonus experience, but we're still getting bonus experience. Okay. Let's go ahead with this. Recover. Leave. And immediately pause it. Okay. Your fleet does not have enough personnel to fully crew all of your ships. This results in reduced combat readiness and combat readiness recovery for the affected ships. You can concentrate the available crew on a specific ship by mothballing some ships from the fleet screen. It's recommended that you hire more crew at a nearby space station as soon as possible. So open the fleet screen, and we're going to mothball you. Mothballed ships can't be used in combat or repaired and do not provide any fuel, cargo, or personnel capacity. Mothballing a ship will reduce its combat readiness to 0. Restoring it will require time supply. So do this when it's got a combat readiness of 0. Don't wait for it to be fully repaired before you do this, because you'll waste those supplies. But let's go ahead and just mothball you. Boom. There we go. We've also got the Wolf that needs to be set up properly. The Dram-class tanker I would like in the fleet right now. Let's have a look at you. We can go for the recovery. It's got demods, compromised storage. That's a... well, I guess that isn't so much of a shame as long as it's not the fuel storage. Degraded drive field. Unfortunate. Increased maintenance. Actually kind of a pain. So maintenance supplies per month is an extra 0.6. Cargo capacity is dropped by 4. Fuel capacity is dropped by 75. I mean, I could take it, but it's a shame. I will bring her on board, sure, but there's a bit of a pain in the backside, though. I will allow them to repair that one, because this means that we can head over and grab the extra fuel. I mean, it has given us a massive bonus, the amount of fuel that we have. I also want this freighter. Okay, we're going to have to use a story point for this one. Exactly the same text as before, but let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, if we take that, it actually doesn't hurt us too much. Let's have a look at you. You've got degraded engines, erratic fuel injector, and degraded drive field. So, fuel per light year jump cost is plus 1.5, which is a pain in the backside. But other than that, it's not too bad. It actually does the thing that we want it to do, and that is cargo capacity. Taurus-class ships are well known as perhaps the most flexible and durable freighters in the sector. Much better to take the perk and wait. I mean, Kitsune Crew, that would work, but it's going to take me a while to get to that. It is now an elite skill. So it's going to take like another 3-4 levels before I can take that perk. Still at the start of the game, even a ship with D-mods is better than no ship. And later, when you've got money and more freedom, you can cherry pick more. Yeah, no, exactly. We're not going to rob ourselves of combat ships right now. But I will absolutely take this one, yeah. Recover, 90% bonus experience there. Those are bonus experience, thanking you. I will also, I think, allow that one to be repaired. How many people do I need in my skeleton crew is 117. This one is using up 30. I'm going to say mothball it for now, just so I have that crew ready, because I'm about to try and pick up a destroyer. Okay, we can just go straight for recovery. That's fantastic. Okay. Oh, and it's only got 1 D-mod, faulty power grid. That is a glorious pickup. 1 D-mod on this. Sensor profile is up, and flux capacity is kind of nerfed. I mean, it's a sad one to lose on a combat ship, but still, that is relatively in good shape. So we're going to grab you. That is going to cost us a lot of people and an awful lot of supplies to recover it. So we'll probably mothball that one as well straight away. Just for the time being, mothballed. And finally, let's go and grab the Lasher frigate just so that we can fill out our fleet a bit more. The tutorial hammerhead is always salvageable, but the D-mods are still randomized, I believe, isn't it? Oh, do I really want the Lasher? Increased maintenance, faulty automated systems, and structural damage. Plus 33 skeleton crew, though. Ugh. I'm gonna scuttle this one. I'm not taking that. That is way too much. It's an extra 1.2 maintenance per month. That isn't terrifying, but the plus 33 crew? Yeah, we're gonna cancel that. I'm just gonna need to consider my options and build salvage operations instead. Okay, we haven't got as large of a fleet as I would have otherwise liked, but it's also not terrible. Let's go. Can I do a... No, I can't. Okay, well, fine. Let's just sustained burn here. That one's flashing right now because ships might suffer damage, and I've specifically told my I've got fleet ships with very low durability, so that could actually break them. Yeah, max crew 50. Skeleton required 58. The other 8 are strapped on the hull outside to hold the engines on the ship. I didn't even notice that, but yeah. Fantastic. I had tried shift queuing, yeah. And it didn't seem to allow me to. Just loaded up my newest game. Had only one D mod on the hammerhead, too, but a different one. Pick these up, examine the pods, take everything. Thank you very much. It's a nice bit of fuel there. Alright, let's head back. We're losing 0.6 supplies per day. Let's slow down. Pyrobo, thank you very much for the Prime sub there, mate. Mate, put this void suit on and go hold onto that tear on the outside of the ship. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I can imagine the crew now, like the cat on the prop plane. You've probably seen the meme about just out there on the prop plane, and then suddenly look up and oh my god, there is a cat on the wing. How? What? It's so high. Oh my! Why? It would have been so terrifying. Imagine that pilot just looking up and like, there is a cat on the outside of my plane, on the wing. What do I do? That must have been so terrifying. Yeah, the cat was super calm. I don't know, maybe this wasn't his first rodeo, you know? I was like, yeah, chill out, human. This is good. I'm not stuck out here. I'm here by choice. Right, okay. Welcome back. A bunch of rust buckets, aren't they? But put some weapons on them, get a proper refit done, and with a dedicated crew, they'll do all right. It's no worse than what the pirates have got at any rate. Speaking about weapons. Yeah, was just about to talk to you about that. Not much to buy on the open market, but we have some stores. I've already ordered local storage space to be assigned to you, and some suitable weapons transferred there, along with enough supplies and to speedily bring up the new ships back to full combat readiness. Use them to outfit your new ships. Make sure you've got enough crew for all complements on every ship, and then break the rogue miner defenses on the inner jump point. Once this conversation is over, press R to open the refit screen. After selecting a specific ship, you can press V to auto-fit. Pick a desired loadout, and the ship will be automatically refitted to match it, using what weapons are available. In addition, you now have access to local storage at Ankira, and some weapons and supplies have been placed there. To access it, click the storage button on the trade screen. I take it you've got the stabilization algorithm then? Correct. These cores seem like they can work miracles sometimes. Let me transmit the result. Good luck to you. If you fail, well, we'll have to send the security force to do the job. And that, then it could get very messy. Oh, is that she up? Ah, you can actually come in. Right. It's good to know you're already working on Plan B. Come now, it's not so grim. I have every expectation you'll succeed, or I wouldn't send you. But it's my responsibility as commander to plan for every eventuality and not rely on a miraculous savior. Now, about those miners. The two fleets guarding the jump point will aid each other if you engage one when the other is nearby. So it'll be an easier fight if you manage to separate them first. If you can't, it should still be a fight you can win, though. This is one of the places where I feel that Starsector falls down a little bit in terms of its UI, is it isn't always clear how close they need to be in order to offer assistance to each other. It's kind of annoying in that regard, actually. Copy that. I'll be back here when the job's done. Okay. First and foremost, storage. Lots of things. Hooray. Let's grab everything out of storage and then see what we want to do. Confirm. Now, if we go to the refit screen, got a lot of stuff to do. Oh, so much stuff. Alright, now, as someone mentioned, you can have autofit. Let's have a look at this. Reduce the weapon range in combat reduced by 10%. Sensor strength reduced by 50%. Kind of sucks. Degraded shields increases the amount of damage taken by shields by 10%. Also, super sucks. Supply cost to recover from deployment reduced by 20%. Each one of these will reduce the amount it costs to recover it, though. So there is an upside to that a little bit. Ship's hull has taken major and irreparable damage at some point in the past, or suffered from major errors in the manufacturing process. Hull integrity is reduced by 30%. Good morning, Abrash Kampachi. And Trash Panda. I'd say Distant Worlds is a little bit closer to the happy middle ground between Aurora and Stellaris. Yeah, no, that's actually a reasonable assessment there, Pyrobo. Definitely. Distant Worlds is absolutely between those two. I really want to get into Distant... One day we're going to stream Distant Worlds, and I'm going to learn it on stream, because I just don't have the time to sit down and properly dig into it. One day, chat. But just to show you what autofit is like, you can come through here and you can auto-fit things. You can delete things out of here as well. So, for example, I can tell them don't buy things and don't buy them off the black market. Only use stuff from storage or from cargo. Upgrade weapons using extra ordnance points if they're available. Use weapons better than the ones specified in the gold variant if there are ordnance points left to mount them. We'll add flux vents and capacitors up to the number specified in the gold variant first, then upgrade weapons and add more vents and some common hull mods. Leaving some unspent ordnance points in a gold variant can help to take advantage of this option. Strip before auto-fitting, so I'll take everything off and then try to rebuild it. Always add reinforced bulkheads if you always want to make sure that it can be something that has got a good chance of being recovered. Blast doors also reduces the crew death. Randomized weapon and hull mods makes the loadout only loosely based on the gold variant. I would like you to be an assault if possible. Autofit preview. This is what it will. This is what the goal is. This is what I am likely going to end up with. So confirm. There you go. So we've got harpoon MRMs. We've got a heavy blaster there. Fires bolts of energy at enemy targets with high damage and flux cost. The heavy blaster is one of the most damaging weapons for its size. This is a medium energy weapon. And then another... It's a small energy weapon, sorry. But I think this is a medium energy mount. Cheap utility laser that is hardwired for missile and fighter defense. And then over down here we've got some point defense lasers as well. Flux distributors, flux coil adjuncts. Not too bad. Last time I found a ship that was something like 15, 20 times stronger than my whole navy. What? Just missing terraforming, and sometimes the salvaging is way too powerful. What's that in? Is that in Distant Worlds? Wow, that's quite a high accolade. Distant Worlds is amazing once you get the hang of it. Easily my favorite 4X. Imagine Enter Elysium walking Aavak through Aurora. Dude. Okay, if you check out the Dwarf Fortress, the Bay 12 forums, and look for the Aurora page, I was there when that first post was posted about it, and I have been playing Aurora since then. I have read every single after-action report that the dev has ever posted. That's actually one of the main reasons I got into it. I'll be honest. I really got into it because of the capacity for it to be a story generator. I even did a few. Never posted them anyway, but I wrote some. Will you ever see me play Aurora? Maybe on stream. Unlikely I'll ever do a video about it, simply because it is so awkward to do. It's not exactly the most engaging video experience. That being said, you know what? Maybe I could just dust it off a little bit and end up writing basically a story through the campaign, and I could perhaps make a video where I just read through the story I write. Yeah, no, that is exactly what I just did, Darkfire Phoenix. Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written. Yeah, Aurora 4X, I don't think would be a perfect fit for YouTube. But in an after-action report kind of narrative way, maybe. Maybe I could totally do that. Write something with chat's help. That sounds like the most unclever thing I could possibly do. No offense, chat, but... Alright, let's go this. A light setup is Swarmer, SRM launcher, Vulcan cannons, civilian grade hull. Sure, confirm. Tunk. There we are. We've gone with a salamander on this one. There is a part of me that kind of wants to add the militarized systems. I don't know. Ooh, a bedtime Aavak stream. Aurora is amazingly fun, but it does look like a Visual Basic project. Yes, that is an absolutely fair assessment. How is Aurora, the C# version of Aurora at this point? How is that one at this point? Oh yeah, no, Cecil, that's why we were talking about this in Wales earlier, is that it sits between that point of Aurora and Stellaris. There we go, that's quite nice. We'll get the freighter up to spec. Auto fit, a standard freighter, 4 light machine guns. I just need something on it to... Light mortars. That's a little bit more punchy than a light machine gun, but sure, okay. Top speed, garbage. Degraded drive field, super garbage. I could add some things on, like, honestly, yeah. Maybe I should put some militarized systems on these, just to get rid of the burn deficiency. It's going to increase my need to have extra crew. Well, it's going to increase my need to have crew, full stop. But actually, the militarized system, ooh, 10 on this one because it's a much larger hull. Get back. This will help out a little bit. It'll also increase the combat readiness that it's going to be able to have. So, for example, if I pop the combat readiness up to 70, this would have 85 at this point. And at that point, it would give me plus 5% speed and maneuverability, minus 5% damage taken, plus 5% damage dealt. Auto-fire accuracy becomes excellent, and malfunction risk is none. What would it be if... Could you even get it up to 100%? Maybe, if you were really clever in the way you did it. But it would be a rough one to do. But yeah. Right. The Hammerhead. What would we have here? Overridden, balanced, or support? Okay, this is one I am actually going to strip it of everything first. We're going to equip this one myself. All it's got is a faulty power grid, but all it's got is a faulty power grid on a combat ship is kind of nasty. Yeah, you can adjust the combat readiness to see what it's like, but that's especially useful for simulations, because otherwise the simulation is at 70%, even if your skills would take it higher. In terms of the main weapons, let's look at owned first. I've got a thumper, I've got heavy mortars, anti-armor, general, anti-shield. I could go with the arbalasts to take out shields rather than the mortars to take out armor, because it's 50% versus shields, whereas this is 50% versus armor, but 200% versus shields. If I could drop its shield and then unleash a volley of rockets into it, feels to me like a better move. This is, you know, oh, that's actually 25% versus shield and armor, and 100% versus hull. You know, it's fragmentation. Great against anything like a fighter, but not great against other things. High explosives, accuracy is very poor, turn rate fast, accuracy poor, turn rate medium. Can I buy another railgun? I would recommend 2 railguns, 2 heavy mortars. Oh, do you mean down here? I might be able to, actually. Yeah, it's anti-shield, yeah. But I could just go light mortars there. So that has the range. Whereas this has got the range of 700. This has got the range of 700. What's the heavy mortar range? Yeah, we could make something that would be able to strip a shield down with these, and then work on it with that. I suggest heavy autocannons or heavy needlers. Are there heavy autocannons available? There's the Arbalast autocannon. I don't know if there's another one you're thinking of. Heavy mortar. Machine guns. Medium mortars and small anti-shields sounds like a good frigate killer. 2 Arbalast and 2 light mortars are okay as a budget build, and you'll need a budget build with the faulty power grid. Well, I mean, this is the tutorial anyway. We're gonna be upgrading it as we go. Yeah, we're gonna go with the Arbalasts here. You got so much information here. It's really wonderful. An antiquated weapon design with high per shot damage for its size. Kinetic shells are especially effective versus enemy shields. Flux per damage. The amount of flux this is going to generate every time it for the damage it's going to do is 0.75, but flux per shot is 150 per shot, and flux per second, if this is running full bore, is 125. You can have a look at those numbers down here. There's higher flux per second here, but lower flux per shot, and higher flux per damage. And down here, the flux per damage is very low, flux per shot 30, but flux per second is 400, or sustained 150, because obviously it needs like a reload time. A single volley damage per second is 1,333, but 500 because it can't fire constantly. There's a lot of information available if you're looking for it. The light mortar here for the anti-armor. That'll be my main attack setup, but down here I'm going to go for point defenses. Point defense lasers seem fine. There we are. And then the missile slots. We want something that can do a lot of punch, which it'll hopefully only use when the enemy's shields are down. So the finishers, I would say, the Harpoon MRMs. Medium range, high payload guided missile rack. Devastating against ships with downed shields. I think this would be a good use. We use the Arbalasts to punch the shields. Then unload with the light mortars. Well, the light mortars will be hitting the shields anyway, though they're 50% damage. But then it just unloads the harpoons into whatever it's fighting. I think that would be the way to go with that one. Work and lurk, unfortunately, but happy to observe from the shadows. Here's Yos. I love that bunny emote. Oh, my lord. Alas, I must head to bed now, Aavak. And we're still in the tutorial. I'll catch the VOD. Or potentially the tail end of the stream if you're still going in 6 hours. I might be. Ridiculous spanner. I kind of feel it tonight. I do kind of feel it. We'll see, though. We will see. We've been going for 3 hours and a half. That's a good note. You have just reminded me. I probably need to go on a tea break sooner rather than later. All right. First and foremost, I'm quite a big fan of having vents. Lots of. We can't quite, even just with our flux dissipation, maximum vents, because we're kind of nixed by this. We're losing 20% of our flux dissipation there. We couldn't even sustain our weapon fire with no shields up. But we could sustain our shields being up and half of our weapons firing. Capacity is garbage. But let's have a look at what else we can do. Hardened subsystems would allow us to operate for longer. Peak performance time is already 360 though, so it's quite nice. Better weapon mounts increase the durability of all weapons by 100% and reduce recoil by 25, but decreases weapon turn rate by 25. Also increases the ship's armor. What is our armor actually on this thing? Armor rating. That's actually, can I force that to stay up in some way? What I would love to do is hover over like how armor rating is used, but oh well. Armor rating is 500 currently, so we'd add 10% to that. Wasn't there a way to remove demods other than the industrial skill thing? Yeah, you can just pay for it, but it's really expensive. I used the analogy earlier of like, you know, it's cheap to replace the fuse in a plug if like your kettle doesn't switch on. It's cheap to replace the actual plug socket if something went wrong in the plug socket. But what isn't cheap is if the wiring in your house is eroded for some reason. That is an incredibly expensive problem. Solution for the problem to solve. That is incredibly expensive. So at that point, to fix this problem, you could imagine it being along those lines. They're going to have to remove most of the internal plating of the ship in order to get at all of the various conduits running throughout and restore them. It's not going to be cheap. It's not cheap to get electrocuted either. No, it's not. It's absolutely not cheap to get electrocuted. Depending on your fuse box, though, you probably won't be electrocuted. I mean, modern fuse boxes do not do this, by the way. I'm telling you this analogy to let you understand what modern fuse boxes are capable of. Because a lot of people think if you shove a screwdriver into a socket, you're going to die. You probably will if you haven't got a modern fuse box. But if you've got a modern fuse box and it's up to spec, and the only reason I know this is the case is the builder... the electrician who was doing renovations on my parents' house, because it had subsidence, the front of the house was falling off. In the terrace houses, it's like the house next to it had subsidence, the front was coming away, and so that was pulling the front away from my parents' house, and that would have pulled the front away from their neighbour's house, and so on and so forth. It was kind of awful. But so they had a lot of work being done, and because it was such an extensive thing to repair, they had to rewire a part of the house. The electrician, to prove how confident he was in modern fuse boxes, literally took 2 screwdrivers and jammed them into the socket. Before anyone could stop him, because he probably knew that everyone in their right mind would be, don't do that, you bloody idiot. That's a hell of a thing to risk your life on. But yeah, no, the fuse box immediately shut down. The whole house just plonk, straight. Like he said he didn't even feel a tingle. I was like... I think you may have done this one too many times, and there may be a tingle in your brain for you being willing to do it, but nevertheless, it was kind of an impressive display of, look, I am a workman who is willing to put his life on the line because I do quality work, god damn it. It's like ultra old school hardcore, but dear god. Quite an impressive way of figuring out that the fuse box does its stated job admirably, but yeah. Aavak, American fuse boxes will probably kill you if you put a screwdriver in the plug. Yeah, no, I'm fairly certain that a lot of fuse boxes in Britain would kill you if you put a screwdriver in the plug. But, you know, modern, if it's freshly, like a new build property, it probably has got the, you know, well done stuff. I do not recommend you ever do this, obviously. Even if you are the person who installed the fuse box, they can still be faulty, you know? That's a hell of a thing to risk your life on. It's like, yeah, here's a party trick. Oh, I'm dead. That wasn't the party trick, but I guess, you know, it's going to make a big scene either way. But yee. It was an incredibly stupid... Like, there was a part of me that's like, I have to admire your old school nature. He was an old electrician, by the way, so literally, I think this is the whole old school mentality there. It's like, I have done a good job. I am willing to bet my life on this job. It is of such high quality. I will literally risk being unalived to prove how much faith I have in my work. That's the sort of stuff you only get from, like, old geezer electricians who've been doing this job for 60 years. I'm not saying that they're not intelligent. I'm just saying that it's... Why? Why would that be a thing you're willing to die over? Nevertheless, you know, like I said, you got to admire the old school hardcoreness of this. You know, I'm willing to die to prove that I've done a good job. But don't do it. Even I trust you. Oh, my lord. But yeah. Nevertheless... Well, do we want to add anything else in? Increases stripped armor by 10%. That's plus 50 armor. I don't remember what armor works with, though. Like, how that specifically plays out. I wish I could bolt this in place so I could properly have a look. I'm assuming that it just needs to work its way through the armor. But armor rating, is that armor all across the ship?